Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, November 2nd, 2020. This is part 4. I can't believe it, I'm saying that, but this is part 4 of this series for today. We left off talking about vaccines. We left off with talking about vaccines and how the police don't understand the different rules, all these crazy rules themselves. And how this is part of a bigger agenda that's being rolled out with these different lockdowns. And now they're pushing health passports and digital IDs. So eventually where it will go will be you're going to be vaccinated with some kind of object that will store all the information for all the different vaccines that you will be required to have in order to travel. If you're even allowed to travel beyond your region, your area. So we were talking about this little beta test being carried out between, I think it was a UK and US flight this week. United Airlines tests COVID-19 Health Pass app to bring back global travel. They could just bring it back if they want, but that would be too easy, right? You gotta have some kind of addendums attached to it. And that's what it's all about. It's about taking away something, and then when you give it back, they get a little bit less. There's going to be some kind of restriction or something they have to give up in order to get it back. So it's never quite the same. States mull deploying National Guard amid worries about Election Day unrest. So here we go. I'm going to change gears, but and I'm not going to talk about politics in the election, because I have so many other different articles that are a lot more interesting than that. But like I mentioned in the first video about the dark winter taking place with all these lockdowns starting up, which we knew they were going to happen in March. I would mention it a month ago, or the last set of videos about how this was all going to happen. It's no surprise. They were even telling people that there was going to be another wave, and we have to stand by until there's a vaccine. But on top of the lockdowns is the election. And right now that's at the forefront. States mull deploying National Guard amid worries about Election Day unrest. So if Trump wins and Democrats lose, supposedly BLM and the Antifa groups are going to be unleashed on the American public in order to restore democracy, because the election was stolen from them. And if Trump loses, supposedly, he's going to contest the election and send lawyers and stuff, and for good reason, because if anyone's going to get cheated out of a win, it would probably be Trump. Honestly, if you want to know what I think about the whole election, I think Biden was put up there to lose against Trump. If they really wanted someone to beat Trump, they would have put someone up better than him. But he is a good globalist, and he knows the agenda, even though he may not be able to, complete sentences. They don't have to worry about him. He's compromised, and he's not going to do anything. I think the whole point is, if Trump wins, then you will definitely see riots, no matter what. I think that's the point. And then with the lockdowns, it's going to be too much. It really is going to be just boil over. And then they can bring out martial law and any type of other measures that they want to do. And they're doing the same thing they did with the last election, which is they're manipulating the polls like they always do and making it seem like Biden has a chance. I mean, they actually said it after the last debate. They were media heads on MSNBC and all them, CBS, were saying about how Biden was in the lead, Biden this, Biden that. I'm like, so they're setting the left up for a loss, for a huge loss. They actually thought that they had a chance when they never did, and so it kind of makes them feel like something was taken from them, like they were cheated. Although the U.S. military is generally left out of the election process, polling locations attempting to manage impossibly long voting lines may not be in the position to turn away help from the Guard, whose members would fill in, once again, like in the last video, plain clothes poll workers. National Guard would fill in as plainclothes poll workers. The other article that we were talking about was plainclothes military members going around on Christmas and arresting people for having too many people. A week before the election, Texas National Guard prepares to deploy troops to cities. 1,000 troops could be dispatched to cities across Texas. A spokesperson said it's not related to the election and troops would not be stationed at polling places. He said it was a continuation of peacekeeping efforts that begun during the anti-police brutality protests this summer. You see, there's different things going on here. And yeah, it says here they're going to be sent to 5 major cities in Texas. So this article was talking about how they might do it. They're mulling it, but they're actually doing it down in Texas. Philadelphia riots. National Guard has been deployed. Pennsylvania National Guard was deployed on Tuesdays. The city braces for a second night of violent riots after tense confrontations between angry demonstrators and police, hours after 2 officers shot and killed a black man. And I love how they call them angry demonstrators instead of black-clad, basically thieves and violent people and murderers and paid thugs. That's what they're doing. They're paid to do that, to destroy. But they're still going to call them protesters. Anyways, it happened again. This is from November 1st. Protests erupt over fatal shooting of black man by deputies near Washington. So this is Vancouver, Washington. So I believe that's Washington State. And I totally saw this happening before the Philadelphia thing, which was you're going to see, along with the lockdowns and stuff and the elections, they're going to throw it in like a more fuel to the fire, and you're going to have these racist white people who just can't stop shooting innocent black people. And you're going to have another event like that. So now we got 1, now we got 2, the riots have started, and the fire is already kindling, right? Before the election, as the lockdowns are starting. So, Philadelphia, several hundred guardsmen, Pennsylvania guardsmen, will assist local agencies in protecting life, property, and the right to peacefully assemble and protest. I'm sure they will. It's such a joke. There's only one side that's allowed to protest, and they don't protest, like I said. They just loot and they burn stuff down. And people who want to go out and protest, like Trump supporters, a lot of times aren't allowed that. They're attacked by these people, and the police stand down and do nothing. They don't protect their right to assemble and protest. And, I've heard this, and if Trump, blah, 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 loses the right, and Trump supporters are going to go out and loot and cause civil unrest. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. I don't think Trump supporters and conservatives are going to go out and burn buildings down and attack people and murder people and steal and loot. That's not them. They're not going to do that. We are able to conduct operations in support of civil authorities to enhance local law enforcement's ability to provide continued public safety and critical infrastructure security. We'll see, right? We'll see about that. From Midtown to Portland, businesses are boarding up in anticipation of election night chaos. And this is all different areas. You got pictures there of boarding up. And it just keeps going and going and going. Walmart pulling guns and ammunition from store displays, citing potential civil unrest. I've covered this in the last 3 videos about the public, or not the public, but the government is aware of fatigue, of COVID-19 lockdown fatigue, and then with this election, and then with these police shootings. They're worried about civil unrest. Walmart on Thursday said it has pulled guns and ammunition from the sales floors of its U.S. stores as it seeks to keep firearms from being stolen should social unrest erupt. And they know where that's coming from, so basically they said they've seen isolated civil unrest, as they do on several occasions over the last few years, from basically the shootings. And just like they say for the elections, boarding everything up, they just go along with it like it's just part of normal life. and they're just going to allow them to go out and to do this, to commit criminal acts. And the governors and the mayors and stuff will tell the police to not do anything about it. But they're going to be watching you if you don't social distance. They're going to be, raiding and SWAT teaming Grandma and Grandpa's house and throwing them on the ground if there's more than, 6 people on Christmas. Surveillance cameras are going to be watching to make sure you're 6 feet apart and wearing your mask. But somehow these demonstrators, they're going to be like burning buildings down like this and throwing and smashing glass and stealing jewelry and damaging property and beating people up on the street. Just random white people mostly. They're going to slip through the cracks. A shadowy tech firm with ties to Israeli intelligence is running doomsday election simulations. So they've already been talking about this and knowing about it all year. Shadowy tech firm with deep ties to Israeli intelligence and contracts to protect Pentagon computers, partnering with Lockheed Martin to gain access to the heart of America's democracy. Election Day 2020, 32 Americans dead, 200 injured, martial law declared, and the election itself is canceled. Right? While this horrific scenario seems more like a plot of a Hollywood film, it says it's a result of a recent simulation examining the preparedness of U.S. officials from the FBI to the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Secret Service against bad actors seeking to undermine the upcoming presidential election. I wonder when they say bad actors if they're talking about people like George Soros, who openly fund stuff like that to happen, overthrow governments, create and destabilize places and elections. Police department in Georgia response to 9/11 calls could include drones. The city could become the first city in the southeast to adopt a first responder program that uses unmanned drones to respond to 9/11 calls and emergencies. It says the police will be able to deploy them to witness crimes in progress, document crime scenes, or provide a bird's eye view for officers on the ground. But they actually said that will give officers more flexibility, availability of information while limiting in-person contact. So the drones will be there to watch the crime taking place, but the cops won't be there to stop it or do anything like that. The drones will just be watching you. Hell, maybe they'll have some like Hellfire missiles and they'll just start firing away at your house. And then they'll come out on television and apologize. United Nations warns of a famine of biblical proportions imminent due to COVID-19, but it's not the virus, it's these people, what they're doing. They're all following a plan. It's all part of a plan to reduce the food supply. They want people to starve. They want them to freeze. They want them fighting each other. But that's what it's all about. This is the global reset. Millions to starve, it says. Keep moving. And I've already covered that article, so that's why I'm moving. Americans plan to stockpile food for chaotic months ahead. October 14th. Many Americans believe that the next wave of coronavirus is coming. We're going into another economic depression. And the upcoming election could produce widespread violence. So they're already starting to have people hoarding stuff. Eager shoppers strip supermarket shelves of toilet paper and pasta. So business owners say shop as normal. But, what happens when the lockdowns continue and they can't go to the store? They can't leave their houses, right? There's toilet paper gone, there's pasta gone. They won't be able to. Even if you could go, you may not be able to afford it like the Canadians. Canadian food prices are basically skyrocketed. $70 for a rib steak. Like he says, I can't confirm it independently, but they appear to be real. This is bacon, $17, $4 for an apple, $40 for some chicken breast. And then you're going to have possibly utilities going off, blackouts. We keep being told that we're not going back to normal until there's 0 cases, no hope of normality, that the lockdown is going to kill more than COVID-19 does, and we found that it does. Only 3% people died from COVID between March and September. 26,000 people actually died in their private homes because they didn't get help. Mental health experts warn that lockdowns will trigger a spike in suicide, self-harm, alcoholism, and domestic abuse. Canadian doctor blasts the lockdown, saying they induce fear in order to create compliance. A professor saying the lockdown's a killer. It's worse than COVID could ever be. And businesses are saying this next lockdown is going to finish them off National lockdown will throw millions into unemployment, and college-age Americans face the worst job prospects in decades. This is GGN. Thank you.